Alright, so here we are with another video from, what did we call it? Mama's Kitchen? Or Granny's Cooking? Or
Miss Janines Southern Kitchen.
See, I told you I'd make you talk. Anyway.
We're going to learn her. We're going to get her learned up here.
So Ricky wanted biscuits and gravy. I know there was a lot of call for cornbread, and I'll do that in another video because we're coming up on Thanksgiving, and on Thanksgiving we make cornbread and cornbread dressing. So that will be coming up. I know I said in the comments that it would come up, and it will, but Ricky wants sausage biscuits and gravy, and that's going to be his dinner tonight. So this is my take on it.
I'm hungry.
First I start my biscuits, and then I'll do my gravy because the biscuits will be cooking. I just use my flour, and I'm not a measurer, I'm a dunker. I just dunk whatever I need in my bowl. But I put my flour in. It's probably around 2 cups or so, maybe a little more. But I use self-rising flour. I don't use all-purpose flour. The difference between the two is self-rising flour already has your baking soda, baking powder, and your salt added. All-purpose, if you use that in your baking or things, you have to add those other ingredients. I use self-rising, and you don't have to do all that. And then I add my butter, which Southern cooking, you cook with butter. So I put butter in mine. And then I put just an egg, which usually I just dunk it into my thing. So we'll do it, just 1 egg, and I'll throw it away. And then I use a little bit of milk when I mix. And like I said again, I don't measure, I just kind of eye it, put it down in there. And then I add water. Now my water is room temperature, just because with baking and other things like that, if your water is more of a warm consistency, then it makes things rise better. And then I just pour some in. And then I get my fork. I don't do with a beater or mixer. I just mix until I feel like it's the consistency that I want in the bowl. And I just start with a little bit of everything to start with. I don't roll my biscuits. I have rolled my biscuits. I learned this from my mama and Ricky's mama. But my mama, she just dunked hers into her cast iron skillet, which I have over here already buttered up. But this is, and as you stir it around, it's still a little bit too much, so I'm going to add just a little bit more water, not a whole lot. It's supposed to be like sticky. It's just a dough, and it's supposed to be sticky. And of course you want to make sure all the butter is mixed up in there. And as I'm scraping the bottom of the bowl, you can see there's some like leftover flour. When you roll out biscuits, of course you put your flour down and everything, and it kind of coats your biscuits. And that just helps when you put it in the pan later. Okay, I'm not quite sticky enough, so you got to add some more water. It's just a little process to get them the way that I want them, because I want them just to drop down in there. We're just going to clean this off. Get my big spoon here. And then I just drop them down in my pan. This pan makes like 7, I think, when I get it done down in there. It gives me 3. Just depends on how thick and big I make them. That gives me 4. Might just get 6 this time. But I don't put them right on top of each other. Hopefully they're going to come out of the pan without sticking together. You usually have to cut them apart. And then I just dump one right down in the middle. Mama used to make these also when she did them. When we'd have strawberry shortcake. And all she did different to the recipe is she would add some sugar to it. So it made it more like a sweet bread. So then she would take it and cut them open, and then she'd mix up the strawberries and put that over it. That's how we had strawberry shortcake growing up. But I'm gonna pop these in the oven, and I'm gonna get the stuff ready for the gravy, and we'll see you in a minute. Alright, so step 2 is making the gravy. Of course, again, here I am with my butter. Yes, and I do know Ricky has a heart condition. But this is the way I've always cooked for him, and we do monitor how much I do and stuff. I don't do this every single day and every single night, so. But I always melt me some butter in the bottom first before I put in my sausage. And again, I do not have one of, yeah, this is one of your knives, isn't it? Or is it? Yes, this is one of your knives.
No.
No? Maybe you know.
Not in that little locker.
Yeah, I know, they're in that one. That's what I'm saying. I'm trying not to cut my fingers off, or my digits off, however you want to say it. But, and it's just from Piggly Wiggly, a mild sausage. And again, sometimes we use deer sausage if we have it ground up and stuff, but we didn't have any for this today, so. And I just like my pan to get kind of hot and warm with it. And then we don't always have to use all the butter. I get it like soft, and then I'll use it when I do the gravy again. Because of course your sausage is going to make some in it. And just kind of squish it up in the pan. And then we're going to brown it up. Sometimes I I'd mix up the hot sausage and the regular sausage just to give it a little more of the heat and stuff, but we don't do so much of the hot anymore. Be right back.
You know, we're old. Our stomachs don't handle the hot stuff anymore.
Sorry about that. I had to go to the sink and wash my hands. Alrighty, so we just waiting for this to brown. It's got to brown on all sides. So I'm just going to let that cook, and we'll be back in just a minute. Alright, so we've got it browned up here, the sausage. While we were gone, I just put a little salt and pepper in it. You can add other things if you like. Ricky likes sometimes the little chopped onions that you get in the little containers, or you can put whole onions in it or something, just different spices and stuff in it if you like it that way, or you can make it hotter if you want to. But usually I just cook the meat up, and once it's cooked up I take it out. Makes dinner a lot easier, or clean up a lot easier, because you're going to be using the one pan, I should say, frying pan. If a few pieces stay in the pan, that's fine too, because it's all going right back in anyway. And then I add just a little, I melted the butter for the biscuit tops. But this is the butter that I took out a while ago. And see how it's turning the bottom of my pan? And where I have the sausage in there. That's what I want it to do. And now I'm going to put my flour in to make my roux. I can get my container here so I can put a little flour in there. And again, I just kind of dunk. I don't measure things. And I just kind of let that sit for a minute and let it come back up to where it kind of boils around to where it's going to thicken it up. Because we're going to add milk and water to it once it gets like it's kind of cooked up here like I want it. And again, I'm not used to somebody watching me while I do this process. And it just depends on how much of the gravy you want to make. Again, this is just my room temperature water. I'm going to squish it around to give it some help here. And again, this gravy, you can make it different ways to thicken up different things if you want it. It doesn't have to be just used for biscuits and gravy. And like I said, this is just my recipe. I'm sure other people have better recipes or things that look better, but this is just my version and my take and what I raised my babies on.
They ain't no better than that. It don't get no better.
And you just keep doing it until you can get all them lumps out, so it's not a lumpy gravy. Now, when we first got married, I'm truthful, I ain't ashamed of it a bit. My biscuits were like baseballs. I helped Mama with different things in the kitchen, but kitchen was her domain. And it was like stand back and watch. And so I'd stand back and watch her. But then when I got married, it was like, okay, I get to do this all by myself. And it was like, ooh, that doesn't taste like Mama's at all. But it finally worked out.
I shouldn't say anything, should I?
But Ricky kind of crunched through them until they got better. But so this is getting almost to where I want it. So I'm going to add just a little bit of milk. That just gives a little bit of flavor. Good old country girl got to have my milk and my butter. And it just gives a little more of that creaminess. And I did not drain my sausage, no, because that's all your flavor. That's what you make the roux from, or the gravy from. But this sausage wasn't real greasy. And then I did put the butter to it. But then that's all I do to make my gravy. And we let it simmer a little bit. And then before I serve it, I'll add the this to the top of the biscuits. But I let it cook just a little bit, and then I stick my sausage back in it, and we let it simmer together while the biscuits are finishing. And that's my gravy there. We're going to let it sit and cook a little bit together, and then we'll come back and show y'all the finished product. Ricky can have his dinner.
I'm hungry.
We'll be back in a minute. Alright, so we're back. We have the gravy done, and here's the drop biscuits, pan biscuits as Mama used to call them. So, moment of truth. See if they're going to come out. Break it around the pan, and then we're just going to cut down in here and cut us one out. Moment of truth. See if they're going to come out good. And there's your biscuit. My fall apart biscuit. I don't think that one can be considered a softball anymore. You want one or two on your plate?
Two.
Cameraman. When the kids were here at home, I had to make 2 pans of biscuits because they like to have the biscuits underneath. And then I always put Ricky a dab of butter, that good old southern butter stuff again, underneath. The pan's still hot. Alright, and then we're going to, cameraman's got to move so I can move.
Mind your way.
And then we just pour it over. And is that enough for you?
No.
No. And there we have my biscuits and sausage gravy. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and we'll be getting back at you again later with something different. Like I said, the holidays are coming up, and yes, y'all said sweets. Thanksgiving is when I do some of my baking and things, and we'll get some of those in there too. So thanks for watching. Until next time, we'll see you then.
Let's eat.